this is kind of a big topic because there's actually quite a few differences between the United States and Japan from what I can tell. One of them is what you're allowed to eat and what is deemed unsafe. I've read in my American pregnancy books and websites that you're not supposed to eat sushi and soft cheeses, drinking colas and NutraSweet should be avoided, and raw eggs, you're not supposed to eat raw eggs, and prepared salads. There's so many things that you're not supposed to eat for various reasons. In Japan, I have not been told very much to avoid. I was told don't smoke, don't drink, and don't eat the same fish every day. And otherwise, I don't think there are really any things that are off limits. I'm sure some women are more careful and choose to not eat sushi or those kinds of things. But it seems to me that the average woman here in Japan continues to eat all that stuff. I've been dreading it, honestly, for a long time because I expected my mother-in-law and my husband to be very strict about, what I should be able to eat and what I should not be able to eat. But honestly, they really have not been at all. I've been way more strict on myself than they have been about it. Also, the fish, a lot of American websites will talk about, avoiding mercury and stuff like that. In Japan, they encourage you to continue eating fish, but just to avoid eating the same fish every day, is what my book says. Natto. I'm allowed to eat natto. In fact, my pregnancy book encourages that I should eat natto a lot. I can understand why, because there are a lot of vitamins in natto for a low-calorie punch. And the stuff is just really, really healthy, really good for you. Let's see what else this says. The food pyramid is kind of different than the United States food pyramid. It recommends exercise, drinking lots of water and tea, 5 to 7 of the principal foods, bread, rice, noodles, 5 to 6 servings of side dishes, which is vegetables, mushrooms, potatoes, and they say seafood, but I think they're talking about like nori or seaweed, those kinds of seafood, not exactly fish. 3 to 5 servings of main dishes like meats, fish, eggs, soybeans, that kind of thing. 2 servings of milk and dairy products, which they say is 200 milliliters of milk a day. That does not seem like enough to me. I guess they must be getting their calcium from fish bones or things like that. And 2 servings of fruit, which they say are 2 small oranges, which are only about that big, pretty small. So that does not seem like enough fruit either. And then mid-pregnancy, you should add 1 side dish, 1 main dish, and 1 fruit. And late pregnancy, you should add 1 of each food. So this is kind of different from the United States or the Western food pyramid. They say to prevent anemia, you should eat lots of protein, iron, vitamin foods like eggs, meats, liver, fish, yellow vegetables, fruits, and seaweed. Don't eat too many sweets and sugar products. Ha ha ha. I need to read that a few hundred times so it'll sink in. Have milk, tofu, natto, fruits, and vegetables, and eat less salt. For good teeth, you should eat lots of calcium, but also protein, phosphorus, vitamins A, C, and D. And then there's weight gain. Another big difference. In the United States, and I think most Western countries, you're recommended to gain 25 to 35 pounds if you start at a normal weight. But in Japan, if you start at a normal range, BMI between 18.5 and 25, then you should gain 7 to 12 kilograms. If you're underweight, if your BMI is less than 18.5, then you should gain between 9 to 12 kilograms. And if you're overweight, your BMI is over 25, then you should talk to your doctor and decide on the best weight gain for you. So this is less than the US recommends. I think most people get told to gain 10 kilograms, and that's what I was told to gain. US charts will tell you not to gain much at first, and then to, after the second trimester starts, to gain pretty rapidly. But it seems like, or at least my doctor told me, to just gain 0.3 kilogram each week for a very linear growth. And I'm not so sure that I like that idea, because I have followed it very closely so far. And during the first trimester, I just got fat everywhere. My thighs and my arms, and of course my belly wasn't getting bigger, the baby was tiny. So now that I'm in the second trimester, I have a lot of hunger and the baby's growing. So I'm thinking maybe that aspect of the American or Western chart might be better than the steady gain. I've heard that if you gain too much, they will threaten to put you in the hospital and feed you their awful, super healthy hospital food to keep your weight on track. I don't know if they would actually put you in the hospital. I think it's just a threat most of the time. But I suppose if you were gaining so fast that they thought it would be a risk, then they would actually put you in the hospital. Because epidural and things like that are pretty rare here, so I think the idea is to keep the baby's weight and your weight gain in careful control so that you have a fairly easy birth. And of course, the idea also, my doctor told me not to waste any calories on sweets or junk food, or at least not waste many. To eat very healthy. He told me to eat Japanese food, and he was very strict about, he was very specific about that. And I think he was talking about, like, the very traditional kinds of Japanese food, like, fish, natto, tofu, rice. I told him I don't eat a lot of breads and I don't eat a lot of rice, and he said that was a good thing, not to worry about that. Also, I have personally opted to eat more seaweed because there's not iodine in the salt here. Nothing is iodized, because Japanese people tend to have a lot of iodine in their blood already because they eat a lot of seaweed, which is packed with iodine. So I've been trying to eat seaweed more often. And a good way to do that, except for the salt, is to eat Korean seaweed, because it's really yummy just by itself. So anyway, that's what I've been told so far as pregnancy nutrition and pregnancy weight gain.